Good morning. We are witnessing an unprecedented moment in our nation's history today, June 10, 2025. Approximately 700 United States Marines have been deployed to the streets of Los Angeles. This is not for a parade or a movie shoot. They are here as part of a temporary measure to support a sweeping federal crackdown on undocumented immigrants. The sight of military personnel in fatigues on American city streets is deeply unsettling for many. This action, ordered by the Trump administration, is intended to reinforce federal law enforcement until a larger contingent of 4,000 National Guard troops can be fully mobilized and stationed in the area to continue these operations. The official reason for this deployment is to protect federal agents and government property. It comes after weeks of intense street demonstrations across Los Angeles and at least 9 other major U.S. cities. These protests erupted in response to a significant increase in immigration raids. The administration, led by Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, argues that this military presence is essential to maintain order and enforce federal immigration laws. They say that so-called sanctuary cities like Los Angeles have created a need for such drastic measures by refusing to cooperate with federal authorities, making it necessary to bring in outside forces. For the people of Los Angeles, the situation is tense and filled with uncertainty. The deployment has transformed familiar neighborhoods into zones of high alert. Helicopters can be heard circling overhead more frequently, and the presence of armed service members is a constant, visible reminder of the conflict. Community leaders and local law enforcement are struggling to manage the situation, caught between state directives and federal mandates. The daily lives of millions are being disrupted, as fear and anxiety spread through communities that have long been home to immigrants from all over the world. This is a rare and controversial use of the U.S. military for domestic law enforcement. The Posse Comitatus Act generally prohibits the use of the military for such purposes, but the administration is citing specific exceptions related to protecting federal functions. Critics argue this is a dangerous overreach of executive power. They believe it sets a troubling precedent for using military force against American citizens and residents. The deployment is not just a logistical move. It is a powerful symbol of the deep and growing divisions within our country over immigration and the rule of law. The political fallout from this deployment has been swift and severe, creating a dramatic confrontation between the White House and the state of California. President Trump has not only defended the decision, but has also escalated the rhetoric significantly. In a series of social media posts and public statements, he has openly supported calls for the arrest of California Governor Gavin Newsom. The president accuses Governor Newsom of obstructing federal law and endangering national security by upholding California's sanctuary state policies. This direct challenge to a sitting governor has sent shockwaves through the political landscape and intensified an already volatile situation on the ground. In response, Governor Newsom has launched a fierce legal and political counterattack. He has filed a lawsuit in federal court seeking to block the deployment of both the Marines and the National Guard. The lawsuit argues that the administration's actions are an unconstitutional violation of state sovereignty and federal law. Governor Newsom has been very vocal, calling the deployment a political stunt and an act of authoritarianism. He has pledged to use every resource at his disposal to defend the rights of Californians and resist what he calls a federal power grab that threatens the very fabric of our democracy. This clash is not just between two powerful politicians. It represents a fundamental conflict over the balance of power between the federal government and the states. On one side, the Trump administration insists on the supremacy of federal immigration law and its authority to enforce it, especially in jurisdictions that it deems uncooperative. On the other side, Governor Newsom and his allies argue for states' rights to set their own public safety priorities and protect their residents. This legal battle could have far-reaching implications, potentially redefining the relationship between Washington and state capitals across the country for years to come. Other leaders are being forced to take sides in this escalating conflict. Los Angeles. Mayor Karen Bass has publicly condemned the federal actions, reaffirming her city's commitment to protecting its immigrant communities. She has called the deployment an invasion and a scare tactic. In contrast, supporters of the president's policies are applauding the show of force, arguing it is a necessary step to restore law and order. The division is stark, and it highlights the deep partisan chasm that now runs through every level of American government, from City Hall to the White House itself. On the ground in Los Angeles, the impact of this crisis can be measured in the stories of the people living through it. For many immigrants and their families, fear is now a constant companion. Marzita Serrato, a first-generation immigrant and a community organizer, shared her anxiety with our reporters. "This isn't about law," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "This is about intimidation. We see soldiers on our streets and we wonder if the America we believed in is disappearing." Her words capture a sentiment echoed in countless households, where parents worry about being separated from their children and a simple trip to the grocery store can feel risky. This fear, however, is being met with a powerful wave of defiance. Protests have not subsided. In fact, they have grown larger and more passionate. Citizens from all walks of life are taking to the streets, holding signs that read "Refugees Welcome" and "No Troops in LA." They are chanting for the protection of civil liberties and demanding an end to the federal crackdown. These demonstrations are a vivid display of solidarity, as longtime residents stand shoulder to shoulder with their immigrant neighbors, united against what they see as an unjust and dangerous government action that threatens the core values of their city. The business community is also feeling the strain of the ongoing turmoil. Many small businesses, particularly those in immigrant-heavy neighborhoods, are reporting a sharp decline in foot traffic as people stay home out of fear or to avoid the protests. The city's economy, which relies heavily on its vibrant and diverse population, is being impacted by the climate of uncertainty. Some business owners have expressed support for the protests, while others worry about the long-term consequences of the conflict. The situation has created a complex web of economic and social pressures that are affecting everyone, regardless of their political views or immigration status. The national conversation is also being shaped by these powerful, personal stories. Democratic Senator Jack Reed of Rhode Island has expressed grave concern about the military's role, warning that it blurs the line between military and civilian duties in a way that is dangerous for our republic. Meanwhile, supporters of the administration's policy point to the rising number of immigration-related arrests as evidence that the crackdown is working. These differing perspectives show just how deeply divided the American people are on this issue, with the streets of Los Angeles serving as the main stage for this national drama. This deployment of Marines to an American city marks a critical turning point for the United States. It brings several long-simmering debates to a boiling point all at once. The core of the issue is a profound disagreement over immigration. Is it a matter of national security that requires a hardline approach, or is it a humanitarian issue that demands compassion? The Trump administration's actions represent a clear choice for the former, using the full power of the federal government to enforce a strict immigration agenda. This approach has energized the president's base, who have long called for tougher measures against illegal immigration. The crisis also forces a national reckoning over the balance of power between the federal government and the states. The legal challenge mounted by Governor Newsom and the state of California will likely make its way to the Supreme Court. The outcome of that case could set a historic precedent, either strengthening federal authority or reaffirming the rights of states to chart their own course on key policy issues. This is more than just a legal dispute. It is a fight over the fundamental structure of our federal system, and its resolution will have consequences that extend far beyond the borders of California. Ultimately, the situation in Los Angeles is a reflection of a nation struggling with its own identity. It raises difficult questions about who we are and what we stand for. Are we a nation that uses its military to police its own cities? Are we a nation that welcomes immigrants, or one that views them with suspicion? The events of the past few weeks have exposed the deep rifts in our society, and it is unclear how these wounds can be healed. The path forward is uncertain, and the choices we make now will undoubtedly shape the future of the American Republic for generations to come. As we continue to cover this developing story, it is clear that there are no easy answers. The situation is complex, and people on all sides hold their beliefs with deep conviction. It is a moment that calls for serious reflection and conversation. We invite you to be part of that conversation. What are your thoughts on the deployment of Marines to Los Angeles? Do you believe the federal government's actions are justified, or do you stand with those who oppose them? Please share your opinions with us. Your voice is an important part of this national dialogue.